All right, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? I'm here to give you some information that you probably never heard before about the current Wayne County School Board Superintendent, Mr. Mark Whichard. Now, as the caption states, Mr. Whichard was named as a defendant in a lawsuit against the Edgecombe Public County School System when he was then the assistant superintendent and also the Title IX coordinator of that school district. Now, this lawsuit involves a very horrific situation involving a high school student, but it also involves a very disturbing handling of the situation by then assistant superintendent Mark Whichard in his capacity as the Title IX coordinator. Now, if you're not familiar with the Title IX forbids or prohibits any discrimination based on gender in regarding to punishment or treatment in the school system. So this lawsuit was filed on November the 1st, 2016 by Kimberly Biggs and her daughter, who is only named in the lawsuit as LB. Now, you can look this up. It is Biggs versus Edgecombe County Public School Board of Education. And I'm going to go over some of it with you, but I'm also going to read an article that tells you about Mr. Whichard's part in this horrific incident, which basically destroyed a high school student's reputation, stripped her of honors and all types of accolades in her duties as a student. Now, the order reads, Chief United States District Judge James C. Deaver says on November the 1st, 2016, LB, a minor, and Kimberly Biggs, in her individual capacity as lawful guardian ad litem of LB, filed a complaint against the Edgecombe Public School Board, John Fairley, Superintendent of Edgecombe County, and Mark Whichard, Assistant Superintendent and Title IX Coordinator of Edgecombe Public Schools. Now, this is listed on page 1. They also list about 9 other people, but of course, we're just focusing on the man who has all the answers, the man who can do no wrong, Mr. Mark Whichard, in his capacity of the event. Now, in this event, the way the lawsuit came about, right? This happened on a school field trip where the students took a trip to Washington, D.C. Now, the young lady named as LB, they said she's an academically gifted student who achieved several honors, accolades, and awards, including acceptance to the North Carolina Governor's School, designation as Chief Junior Marshal, and possessed the top grade point average in her class. She was a member of the National Honor Society. So, on May 12th, 2016, about 5 months before the lawsuit was filed, she went on a school field trip, a 4-day school field trip to Washington, D.C. Now, everybody knows what goes on school field trips, right? You know, students, they get a little rowdy. They may get some alcohol. And, of course, in this incident, there was also some other substances involved. So, basically, I'm going to paraphrase what is written in this lawsuit. So, during the night, on one of the nights, right, The chaperones allow the students to have some free time. Now, 3 male students, and they are listed as with their initials. Of course, they were probably minors. They said they attained tobacco and alcohol, and they were, probably drinking and everything like that. So the young lady, LB, said she was concerned about the boys, and so she went to their room because she was concerned about them. Now, this is an honor student, right? Top grade point average in the class. She goes to their room. She sees them in the room drinking and also smoking. There were 3 males who were supposed to be in the room, and also 2 other males who were in that room. Now, as the night went on, she said they were drinking and the boys were smoking. Now, she didn't admit to doing anything, but she said about an hour later, the 2 students left the room. Now, when the 2 students left the room, there were the 3 other males in there. Now, they just list them by their initials, right? And she said she couldn't go back to her room because her roommates were already asleep and she didn't have a key. So she said about midnight, that's when she laid down on the bed alone, fully clothed, and turned away from the guys. Now, then she said one of the young men attempted to take off her clothes, and despite her protests, he continued. Now, then she said the other guy jumped in and they began to remove her clothes, and she resisted, screaming, at least turn the lights off or whatever. And so eventually she said she convinced them to use protection. And it was at that point, and I have to use abbreviations here so YouTube won't flag my video. It was at that point she was SA'd or R-worded without her consent. Now, also during this encounter, the other male student recorded the incident and posted it on Snapchat. And then he said, I'm next. But fortunately for her, somebody else knocked on the door. They entered the room and she was able to get up, get dressed, and leave. Now, they said the following day, one of the young men texted her and expressed concern that, he would be charged with the R word, and said he didn't remember anything. And he started to make jokes about it. Now, that afternoon, the school officials and the local police in Virginia investigated the rumors of the underage drinking. Now, they said that at that point, they sent 2 of the boys home because evidently they was found out to have underage possession. They was actually charged. School officials removed them and suspended them for 10 days. Now, it says once the school administrators heard the rumors about the SA, they began to investigate. But the only person that they questioned was the young lady, LB. They took her in the room and they encouraged her to admit to any involvement in sexual activity. But the lawsuit states they did not tell her that she was the target of the investigation. So then the young girl admitted that she had sex on the trip, and they said that she was left alone to write a statement. Now, when they left her alone, because she's considerate of her friend, she said she contacted one of the boys and pretty much, let him know what was going on. And then she began to paraphrase what happened. She said that she was trying to protect them, and she tried to protect the young men who coerced her against her will to engage in those acts. Now, the lawsuit given by the mother and the girl claims that the school officials only took her statement as the full extent of the investigation. They never questioned the young men. They only questioned the young lady and took her statement as she admitted to being involved, but being coerced. They took her statement and flipped it against her. The lawsuit says that the school administrators did not question or punish any of the male perpetrators, and that the school administrators made no attempt to corroborate or further investigate the incident after the young lady wrote her statement. Now here it is, paragraph 106. You guys can look it up. It says Whichard, who is the district Title IX coordinator, the one who is supposed to be protecting this young lady, shamed LB, the young girl, as a result of the incident. And then it further states that school administrators found the young girl to have had intercourse with the 2 male students and contact with the 1 additional male, and that she committed a level 3 S harassment. What Mr. Whichard and his cohorts did was they took this young lady who was violated and made her the victim. They actually suspended her for 10 days, and she lost all of her titles, honors, accolades, and they banned her from certain extracurricular activities. Now, the mother went on to appeal this decision, and that she said that the school administrators did not punish the male students. They didn't question them. They didn't lose any of their titles, accolades, or the ability to participate in extracurricular. The mother said she continued to appeal the decision, and she spoke with numerous school officials, including the counselor, the principal, the Title IX coordinator, which is Dr. Whichard, the great Dr. Whichard, the superintendent, and eventually the Board of Education. It said that they failed to investigate further, and they upheld the punishments and permitted additional harassment of the young lady. Now you tell me, what administrator would not question the other parties in a situation like this and would take the story of a young lady who endured this R and make her the victim, stripping her of all of her accolades, right? And they also begin to harass the mother, who was also a school employee, matter of factly, because she whistleblowed, or she was critical of their handling, right, of the situation. So I'm going to go through 3 of the claims, right? They said that the board violated Title IX by conducting an investigation that reached an erroneous outcome and singled out the girl for punishment based on her gender. And I think that is true. Why wouldn't you take the whole totality of the incidents and question the young boys, right? You charge this lady with level 3 as harassment, right? And Title IX bars the imposition of discipline where gender is a motivating factor. How else would we not consider gender a motivating factor when they didn't question the other 3 gentlemen involved, right? Now, they also question okay, so now the board contended that the outcome was not erroneous because the girl harassed the boys. And the School of Conduct states that students may not engage in behavior that is immoral, indecent, lewd, disreputable, or overly S in nature. So if they're charging her with that, then why didn't they charge the boy with that. Now, the plaintiff, which is the girl mother, alleged that LB did not knowingly violate this policy. Rather, her involvement was as an SA victim. Now, also, they said that the male students were once again not questioned. The school officials, including your beloved Dr. Whichard, never reported the SA to local enforcement authorities. The male students were punished less severely, and they were only punished for the alcohol infractions, but not for the assault. Now, even if it claimed wasn't assault, they still violated the school's moral code by engaging in those acts, even if it was consensual, which it was not, right? They did not suffer any removal of their titles. And once again, the school administrators, including the beloved Dr. Whichard, this is on page 5, and I may put the whole lawsuit case in the comments, so you can just look up Biggs versus the Edgecombe County school system. It's right there. It said school administrators shamed her for the SA and the R and promoted a culture of reputational harm to that young lady, and that school administrators failed to stop further SH of LB by one of the attackers, meaning they continued to let one of the young men continue to harass this young lady. They also the plaintiff said that they singled out LB for this treatment because of their conceptions about how a female should act sexually versus how a male should act sexually, which we can probably all see how this is true, concerning that they never questioned the boys. Now, also, the second claim is that they retaliated against the young girl and her mother, which were supposed to be protected under Title IX, which Dr. Whichard was the coordinator. He's definitely not doing his job in this instance. They said that they were retaliated against after they reported the SA. Once again, she was stripped of all of her honors as a result of that. Now, also, they claimed that they violated their 14th Amendment rights. So, also, they continue to talk about the improper investigation. Once again, that they did not investigate the young men. Now, it also goes on to say how the school board, with their high-priced lawyers and, their defense, they were citing all of these cases where, they didn't have jurisdiction or immunity. And you can look at all of this legal beagle or this legal jargon, how, once again, these individuals sought to substantiate their actions by not providing this young lady justice, where she was clearly the victim of SA and R, right? And them reporting the incident was supposed to be protected under Title IX, which your boy Whichard was the coordinator for. Now, once again, this is all public information, right? Now, they sought to recover damages, and I'm just going to go take you to the sum of it. Now, the sum of it was that the board, they granted and also they denied in part the plaintiff's claim. So what they did was they gave them claims against the Whistleblower Act, but what they did was dismiss the Title IX violations, Once again, because they have high-powered lawyers. Everybody knows school system. I forgot that lawyer that I met that was the school system or the county lawyer. I think his name was Mr. Schwartz. And, that's what they get paid the big bucks to do. They get paid to protect the school system, not the students. As we clearly see, and look up this case, Biggs versus Edgecombe County Schools, where the beloved Dr. Whichard is a party to allowing this young lady to endure such a horrific act and then punish her for being a victim, right? And so, consequently, this lawsuit was filed, as I mentioned, in 2016, right? So, now, I read an article from the Rocky Mount Telegram where the Edgecombe School Board settled that lawsuit for $190,000, right? And the article reads, a long-standing lawsuit against Edgecombe County Board of Education and several other parties, i.e. Mark Whichard, and and I'm going to go back to that because it names him specifically as well. The settlement came in response to the lawsuit Biggs versus Edgecombe County Board of Education, a May 2016 field trip involving sex and alcohol led to the filing of the suit. They alleged 12 causes of action arising out of a disciplinary actions taken against a female student for alleged harassment by 2 male students during the field trip. The lawsuit alleged that the school district violated Title IX regulations, in which Dr. Mark Whichard was the coordinator, the NC Whistleblower Act, and the constitutional right. It accused the district and some of its employees, i.e. Mark Whichard, of negligence, infliction of emotional distress, defamation, and libel related to the field trip incident, and cited disciplinary decisions of the school district and perceived intimidation of the plaintiffs for filing the appeals on her punishment. The plaintiff was a former student at Southwest Edgecombe, was only identified by the initials LB, and her mother, who was also a secretary, Kimberly Biggs, was a part of the suit. She was employed as an elementary school teacher by the district at the time the lawsuit was filed. The lawsuit stated that the incident occurred during a school-sponsored 4-day field trip to the nation's capital. It alleges that the female student was SA'd in a hotel room by 3 male students who reportedly had been drinking and smoking. 2 of the boys allegedly assaulted her, while another reported the incident and shared it on Snapchat. But this incident was never reported to the police. It once again alleges that the school officials accused her of harassment and suspended her for 10 days and took away all the accolades. The young men involved were never disciplined for their actions. The school district never commented publicly, of course, citing federal and state privacy laws. Yeah, they always hide behind that, right? So, it has been settled by the parties of a total of $190,000 paid by or on behalf of all defendants, meaning Dr. Whichard. Dr. Whichard settled this lawsuit. Of course, it says the Board of Education does not admit the plaintiff's allegations in the lawsuit or any wrongdoing and has settled this matter to avoid the time, expense, and uncertainty of further litigation. Of course, that's what they do when they're wrong, right? So let me ask y'all this. This guy who is the current Wayne County superintendent allowed this young lady, shamed her, as it mentions on page 3 of this lawsuit. Let me go back, and you guys can look this lawsuit up. Shame her as a result. Now, also let me be more specific, because it names Whichard in his individual and official capacities. That means him as a person and also him as the assistant superintendent and the Title IX coordinator. Now, is this a man who refused to even investigate this event properly and cost this young lady much heartache, much harm, loss of scholarship, loss of accolades, top grade point average in her class? Is this a man that is worthy to tell other people what they should do, to tell other parents and students where their kids should go to school at, or to even tell myself that I can't volunteer at the school? But that's a whole nother can of worms. But yeah, this is the guy who shamed a young lady who was SA'd on a field trip and settled, not admitting wrong, of course. So, after watching this video, I expect all of the feminist groups, all of the Me Too marauders, all of the women's empowerment groups to be at the school board meeting next month to question him on his shaming of his student, on his failure to investigate an assault under a student under the Title IX law or policy, because he loves policy, right? As he told me, that's his policy. Under the Title IX policy, he failed to protect this young lady and her mother after they reported this incident. I didn't wake up and decide to do this video. Somebody sent me this and said, research Dr. Whichard. There's more to him, in which I always know. I've known since I got that little three sentence denial of my application to volunteer after I volunteered last year. I wouldn't say that's a whole nother video. Nevertheless, this person said research him. And I did, and you can too. Biggs versus Edgecombe County School. Dr. Whichard, the beloved Dr. Whichard, the current Wayne County Public Schools superintendent, shamed a minor after she was SA and R and had it recorded and actually charged her with S harassment. What type of man is this? I got daughters. Don't you have daughters? You guys have daughters. Wouldn't you want, if your daughter purported something like that, wouldn't you want that to be reported to the police, first of all, which it was not, but wouldn't you want to investigate it to the fullest extent of the capacity? Why weren't the young men questioned in this incident? Why was the mother retaliated against? Why was LB retaliated against and shamed by Dr. Whichard? Maybe you want to answer, Dr. Whichard. 919-587-7782. This is all public record. This is not something I'm making up. Case text. That's what it says. Case text. United States District Court for the Eastern District of North Carolina, Eastern Division. I think that's the same court Mike Cox is in. Maybe you and Mike Cox should, get up and do whatever you guys do when legal actions are taken against y'all. But nevertheless, y'all heard it right here first. Mark Whichard, current Wayne County superintendent, was named in this lawsuit as a defendant And we see why he should be a defendant, and actually why he should be prosecuted for allowing this young lady to endure such a matter and still not receive justice. Whichard Taylor, 919-587-7782. Y'all know the drill. Peace and blessings.